Hey everybody, welcome to the replay. So excited to see you guys here. If you're joining, please say hello. Please give me your name. Type in your name so that I can greet you by name, because sometimes it's hard to figure out those Periscope handles. How's everybody doing tonight? Hey Sarah. Oh, and let me know where you're scoping in from tonight. Hey Georgina. Hey Jennifer. Danny, Angela, Jamie McKenzie. Woo! Awesome. Hey Jamie, where are you guys right now? You're on your way back? Hey Jen. So we've got Texas, we've got Ohio. Hey Betsy. I want to give a big shout out to Betsy H because she did her first Periscope. She got over her fear and she Facebook messaged me, and I'm so pumped up for her. Great job, Betsy. Hey Lauren. Hey from Arizona. Hey from Texas. Awesome. Hey Jeanette. Jamie, it's a little crazy in your car right now. I'm sure it is. I think you probably know what I'm going to be talking about on the scope based on our business tea and training we did a while ago. Well, welcome everybody. If you're new to Periscope, my name is Christy Collins. I'm a diamond leader. I'm from the Boston area. And I love to do scopes about figuring out what kind of skills you need to learn, what kind of systems you need to put in place, and what kind of personal growth you need to reach whatever rank you desire in Young Living. And I love especially focusing on supporting homeschooling moms and introverts, because I'm both of those things, and it's been challenging sometimes trying to make those meld with a network marketing business, but it is possible. So, oh, thank you. Thank you, Mandolin. I'm loving all the feedback and I'm loving the hearts and all the comments. So this topic I was a little hesitant about doing. It may be the first time you've ever heard this, which is why I'm saying it, because I think we have all ladies on the scope. If there are any men on this scope, this may be too much information for you, but at the same time, if you work with a woman, or if your wife is doing Young Living, please listen, because this could be really helpful for you and your lady as well. Okay, so I'm always about being very open and honest. You guys know that. And I was sitting here today, I've got all my calendars spread out, and I am more of a computer person, but when it comes to planning, whether I'm planning my homeschool year or I'm planning my business, the first pass that I do through it, I always do on paper, because I have to kind of like see the whole thing. So I end up usually spreading all these little calendars out, and I kind of look at it, and eventually we'll end up all color-coded, since I love organization. But as I was going through this, I realized that I probably do something that is different than what most people do when they start their planning for the calendar year. How many of you are planning your fall business schedule right now? Go ahead and tap on the screen. So if you're new, you'll see all these little hearts popping up. Those are really important feedback, and you can make hearts by tapping on your screen. You'll get to see what color you are, right? It's kind of cool. And that gives me feedback as to whether what I'm sharing is helpful. So if I see lots of hearts, I know I'm on the right track. If I don't see any hearts, I get a little nervous and I wonder if I need to kind of change topics. So if you like what I'm saying, please tap the hearts. If you know other people in Young Living or anywhere in network marketing that are planning their business calendar this fall and you think it might be helpful for them to hear it, you can share this scope by swiping left to right if you're on an iPhone, and you can swipe up if you're on an Android, and you can share that. Okay, so you guys are planning. I hope you're planning, because fall is here. We want to be planning for the entire fall, because fall is one of the best times for growth in network marketing. Okay, everyone goes back to school, everyone's back from the beach, and it's a great time. So if you haven't started thinking yet about fall, you really need to do so. The first thing that I do, as an introvert especially, my energy goes in waves a lot, okay? And there's an extra layer to my energy that I've become very aware of. It was actually something that was not, this is not my idea, what I'm sharing on today's scope. This was actually taught to me by a woman named Elisa Vitti. She went to the Institute for Integrated Nutrition in New York City, where I went as well many, many years ago. And I love her programs because they help women with hormonal challenges, energy, libido, menstrual cycle, all of that. And I've been through her program myself. In fact, I hired her as my own health coach many years ago. And one of the things she really helped me see was how, as women, our energy is so tied into our menstrual cycle. Does anybody notice that? If you notice that you have different energies during your menstrual cycle versus all the other times of the month, go ahead, tap on the screen. If you notice, when do you guys notice that your energy is the lowest during the month? When do you notice that you do not want to go out and about, you do not want to be around people, you do not want to leave the house, you do not want to put on work clothes and put on makeup? When does that happen during the month? Go ahead and type in the comments if you know. Okay, your time leading up to your period, a week before, right before your period. Yep, right before it starts. Hey, Faith. Ovulation. Oh, interesting. That is different, Lauren, but it's good that you know that. Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. Your month is actually 4 distinct phases. A lot of times we think it's just, hey, Faith, it's just the period and then all the other time. That is not true. Actually, as women, we have this really distinct advantage because we have these finely tuned, intuitive, we have power. There's so much magic if you can tune into your month, okay? So how does this apply to your business? Okay, most of you said like the week before your period. For me, it's the week. It's like the first few days of. That is not the best time to be scheduling big events, okay? So you'll see, let me try and flip this camera and I'm gonna show you on my calendar what I have on here. All right, so we got September. So if all goes according to plan, that week will be the week of my period. We move down. There it is again, right? So, and even if you are not menstruating anymore, you still have a flow, you still have a cycle. And it may be that that is tied into the moon, right? So if you're not menstruating right now, what you can do is you can I'll try to remember to tie this into the phases of the moon so that you can start to notice that. So during the week of my period, I do not plan in a ton of events. So you're not going to see me going out there doing a great big Boston team event the week of my period. You're not going to see me setting up lots of one-on-one meetings or doing lots of gatherings in my home. That's not the week for that. Okay? So during the time of your actual period, do you know what you are innately programmed for and like ripe for at that time? That week is the week to be doing introspection, right? So think of it in terms of seasons. Elisa talks about in terms of seasons. Our menstrual cycle, the actual week of your period is like winter, wanting chocolate. Yeah, the week of your period, you know, it's very similar to what goes on in wintertime. It's also like the new moon, the dark moon, right? If you're looking at it in terms of times of the month. We want to hibernate. We want to go inside. We want to like light candles. We want to like snuggle up in blankets. We don't want to go out. Okay, it's also a time where we think, we go inside. Just like in winter, we hibernate physically. During your period week is a great week to go internally. So this is the time where I will look and say, how did the last month go? How can I evaluate what happened? How can I think about my personal growth? What went well? What didn't? All these things that I usually don't take time to think about during the rest of the month is perfect during your period time. This is the time to journal. This is a great time. If you've got a self-growth book or you've got a network marketing book or something that you keep meaning to read and you never get to it, that's the week to go for it. Okay? It's not the week to be planning lots of events if you can avoid it. If you have events, like when I was at convention, that did not coincide very well with my monthly cycle. If I could have moved convention a week or two later, I would have done that. So I had to compensate for it. The first day of my period at convention, I was not out and about. I had to go back to my room for several hours. Okay, that was my only way of coping. And I also had to realize the days before, the days after, I had to sleep a heck of a lot. Because if you're forcing your body outside of its normal rhythm, you're going to have to compensate. Otherwise, what will happen is it will show up the next month in your next month cycle, and your next month cycle will not be so fun. Okay? So that's the week of your period. When you're looking at your event schedule, that's the time where you just kind of plan your own time, Yeah, Faith, you know what I'm talking about, right? So what happens next? After your period ends, you go into what they call the follicular phase. And I'm not going to get into all this technical stuff. I'm just going to get into how it relates to your business. You can check out Elisa Vitti. I have no affiliate link with her at all, but I send women to her all the time because she's amazing. It's ALISA. That's Elisa. Vitti, VITTI. She has a great TED Talk. If you Google her in TED Talk, you'll see a great TED Talk on this very same topic, but you'll hear it from her. Okay, after your period, that's the follicular phase. Think of that as spring, the season of spring. What do we do in spring? Everybody's out, right? Animals are out, people are out, everything is bursting, like new life everywhere, right? Gardens are starting, flowers are spreading. So what does that mean for your business? For your business, spring is the time when you want to create new projects. If you've been trying to get a new class off the ground, if you've been trying to do a new project for your team, if you've been trying to create something and it's just not happening, slot in a couple hours in that week, the week after your period, so that you are like really in that creative mode, okay? Perfect time for that. All right, so that's week 2. After that is the ovulation time. Now, Lauren, you said that during ovulation you get a little tired. Yes, some women get tired and some women can, experience some discomfort during ovulation time. But it's often very short-lived. And around that whole ovulation time, the middle of your cycle, that's like summer. Summer, think of summer. Everybody's at the beach, everybody's at barbecues, everybody's going here, there, talking to people, right? You're just out and about. So the ovulation time is the best time for events. Okay? There is something magical. When you are ovulating, you are irresistible. You're like a magnet. Okay? Also, your communication skills are really heightened and really strong. So if you're going to meet with a prospect, a business prospect, boy oh boy, schedule that for ovulation. If you are going to host a big event in your team and you need a big turnout, you need to be on and for people to love it, schedule it during ovulation. If you are setting up gatherings with people who've never been introduced to Young Living before, set it up for ovulation. It doesn't mean you don't set these things up for the rest of the month, but it means that you try to if you're going to cram stuff in, cram it into ovulation time. So, I'm trying to think of what else. Yes, if you need to, like any kind of conversation or negotiation that you need to have, in family life, if you need to have a conversation with your spouse, ovulation time is the best time to do it. Trust me, great results. It's also a great time to go out and be with people. So if you're going to plan a social event for your team, or if you want to get together with people and brainstorm, ovulation time, trust me, it will just really go well. I promise, I promise, I promise. So the last part of the month is the time leading up to your period, like the week before your period. For some women, it can be longer. It can be like a 7 to 10 day cycle. This is called the luteal phase. This is fall in seasons. So what happens in fall? The leaves start falling down. We start raking up our lawns. We start putting away summer clothes. We start kind of getting our home ready for school and homeschool and all of these things. So fall is really a great time to nest in your business. So the week before your period, when you don't have a lot of energy to go out and be with people, do not beat yourself up over this. This is not the time to beat yourself up. This is the time to say, oh, this is my week to nest my business. So what do I mean by that? This is the time you've been too busy during ovulation and your follicular time. You've been too busy after your period. You've been out having events. You've been talking to people. You've been doing gatherings. You've been doing all this out and about, right? You haven't really had time to pay attention to your systems or your organization. Maybe you come home and you realize after doing 6 events, you have this huge stack of receipts and bills, like all this stuff that is piled up. All those things that you don't do up until this point because you've been too busy being out in the world. So the time before your period is the time for organization. This is the time where you want to sit down and do what I'm doing right now, right? I don't have the energy to be actually doing these events or starting them like I will in 2 weeks or so. But right now, thinking about them, putting them on paper, planning them, that's perfect for me. It's exactly what I should be doing right now. So I'm just looking and see if I'm missing anything else. Yeah, so any kind of organization that you need to do, anything you need to do administratively around your business, receipts, Quicken, all that stuff, a great thing to do. Doesn't mean that you have to save these different tasks for only that week. That's not what I'm saying at all. But if there are certain projects that you're looking to do, and they maybe have been on your to-do list and keep getting passed over and over and over, you may want to look at when you're trying to do them and see if you can phase them in at a time when your body and your womanly psyche is most primed and ready for them. Okay? So that is, the other thing that would be great to do during the time before your period would be to have phone conversations with business builders, strategizing, right? Looking at their businesses, helping them figure out, okay, how do I want to organize my fall? How are my numbers looking? Like all that kind of stuff is great to do in that last week, right? You strategize with them then, and then you go out and meet with them 2 weeks later and do events with them. So do you guys have any questions? Was this topic way too woo-woo for people? Was this like the first time you've ever heard anything like this? Give me some comments so I know where you guys are at. How and when okay, so if you don't have a period, then you would want to tune into your energy. Take a journal for a month, sit there and just take a look at those 4 different phases and just say, which one am I most in tune with right now? Okay, and then the next, keep writing it every day. Say, which phase do I feel like I'm in now? And you can kind of notice, are there shifts? Are there transitions? Pay attention to the moon. Okay, you might find that you are cycling with the moon because the moon follows this, right? It gets very big and bright and out there. No one can sleep, right? And then it gets very quiet and dark and it goes to almost nothing. That's the hibernation. So you may have your own cycle. You can sometimes actually intentionally cycle yourself to the moon if you want. This is actually a topic we did at one of our business tea and trainings for our team because we were doing event planning and I said, you got to start here if you're a woman. It's so important because otherwise you're working against the grain. What other questions do you guys have? I saw if you were pregnant. Well, I think pregnancy is its own cycle, honestly. Like at the beginning, sometimes you don't feel so hot and that's kind of like your menstrual cycle time. And then you finally get over that not so hot feeling, around like month 3 to like 7 is kind of like that follicular ovulation phase where you feel great, you're showing off your bump, and then you get to the end and nesting comes into play, right? So you could look at your whole pregnancy as a cycle like this. And you can also tune in during the month, and again, like I suggested to Jeanette, use a journal and see if you're phasing through on that smaller level. Maybe you tie into the moon as well. Yeah, any other questions before we end today? If this was helpful for you, if there are other women on your team, if you guys think you might want to get together, yes, so for homeschooling moms, this is super important too, right? Because sometimes there's times you just do not want to go to that activity. You do not want to go out into the woods and collect frogs. I have been there. So you might sit and you guys might all look and say, okay, when is your period happening? When is your period happening? You could plan, like we have homeschooling co-ops. I actually think I might do this. I'm going to ask my friend and say, when is your period? Okay, if you're having your period that week, we'll have the homeschooling co-op at my house that week. And when it's, you can help each other out around that. You guys can plan those like really crazy homeschooling activities and projects when you all have great energy. And the other week, it's like, that's our week to literally take the kids to the museum and let other people do the teaching for a while. Any last questions? If this was helpful for you, if you think it would be helpful for anyone else, please swipe left to right on an iPhone and you can share, and swipe up on an Android and you can share. and people will be able to watch this replay for 24 hours. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to head back to my calendars now because my guys are at the shooting range. So I have probably half an hour before they get back, and I got to crank through this stuff. All right, guys, I hope you're having an awesome day. Talk to you later.